Welcome to the Industrial Talk Podcast with Scott McKenzie. Scott is a passionate industry professional dedicated to transferring cutting-edge, industry-focused innovations and trends while highlighting the men and women who keep the world moving. So put on your hard hat, grab your work boots, and let's go.
All right. Again, thank you very much for joining the Industrial Talk Podcast. I am just absolutely honored that you have joined the number one industrial-related podcast in the universe. Thank you very much for joining. And it is a platform. It is an industrial platform dedicated to you, the industrial professionals, the companies that get it done. You're bold, you're brave, you dare greatly, you innovate. Thank you very much for making my life and many others around the world better. That's why we celebrate you. Thank you very much again for joining the Industrial Talk Podcast. We've got an incredible interview. We're talking supply chain. We're talking about leveraging technology for a better supply chain strategy with a gentleman by the name of Phillip Diao. Let's go. Yeah. Supply chain has been a absolute incredible conversation that many companies have been talking about. Many companies have been challenged just because, you know, the COVID world, pre-COVID, those are very sensitive relationships, very sensitive, supply chains, right? And then the COVID hits, boom. Now what do I do? Where do I go? How do I? And then rules change, and this changes, and that changes. And as a business owner, as an industrial business owner, what do you do? Where do you get that information? I mean, those are incredible conversations to have. And fortunately for us, we have one of the best. We have not only Phillip understanding exactly what that looks like, but then two, he represents a incredible platform that is brought to you by those incredible, once again, another incredible, there's a lot of incredibles in this particular conversation, Infor. Check them out. Fantastic platform, tremendous innovation when it comes to, I don't care, enterprise asset management, ERP, supply chain, it could go on, and it's in a great platform. All right, I've got a couple of things. First off, if you're looking at me out on the video, I've got my Heroes of Manufacturing, hot off the press, shirts, because I'm working with 30 other manufacturers to celebrate the Heroes of Manufacturing. And I just got my shirt, and it's a great shirt. And on the back, it says Heroes of Manufacturing. I'm telling you, you need one. If you're in manufacturing, you need one, definitely. So go out to heroesofmanufacturing.com, nominate somebody, get a T-shirt. That's all I'm asking for. It's all good stuff. Now, I've been harping on it, and just bear with me. If you're not focused on strategies to ensure your survival, business-wise, even career-wise, survival, strategies for survival, strategies for recovery of your business, right, or your career, whatever it might be, strategies around those, and then strategies to prosper, then you're missing the mark. Then you're from my perspective, wasting time. You've got to be pinpoint focused on the following points. One, pinpoint focus. Anything outside of that, pinpoint focus on retaining talent. Yeah. If you want to survive, recover, and prosper, talent is the way to go. And you're going to have to pinpoint focus on that, right? Pinpoint focus on managing your risk. If you truly want to survive, recover, and prosper, you got to pinpoint focus on your risk and understand that risk. You need to save money, right? Because if you want to survive, recover, and prosper, you got to save money. You got to be very, very, very focused on saving that money and being very strategic in how you spend it. And this is where I'm at. And it all solves problems, quite frankly. If you are making money, then I guarantee your survival is really insured, your recovery is insured, and definitely your prosperity is insured. Making money. Strategies for making money today and in the future, right? And then finally, resiliency. We don't know when this two-finger death punch will happen again. We just don't. If it happens again. But it was a wake-up call because many, and I mean many, businesses weren't ready for it, and rightly so. Who had who thought about a global pandemic in their, business continuity plan? I don't know. I don't know. Okay, and then, so once you got all that, pencil and paper, you need to collaborate. You don't have the answers. If you want to be able to retain talent, manage risk, and all of the other components there to survive, recover, and prosper, you need to collaborate. You need other people. You need to leverage virtual solutions, right? You need to collaborate, not just internally, but externally. Find companies that want to work with you and find individuals that want to work with you to help you achieve that prosperity location. You need to innovate, not just from a technology point of view, because that's real important, but also innovate when you start looking at your business. Are you innovating when you're trying to save money? Are you innovating when you're trying to make money? Are you innovating to try to create some really resiliency? All of those factors are very important through innovation. Education, you can't have enough. I'm telling you right now, I have had a ton of conversations that revolve around education and not having enough education. We are education. You got to educate. I could go on and on about that. You got to do it with a sense of speed. You can't lollygag. You can't, because your competition is going to go zoom right past you, and then you're going to have to move forward. Move forward. Make mistakes. Get back up and do it again. You can't move forward without making mistakes. Just, quote that. I'm not sure if that's really passionate, but you can't. Got to move forward. Those are the components. It'll all be out there. And for us here at Industrial Talk, we've got two things that sort of embody this. Well, more, because we got this podcast. We do lives. We do a lot of other things to really shine the light on all those elements. We also have the Industrial Talk Reporter. That is a industrial news aggregator that just hammers on all those points. And then, of course, the Industrial Academy. And it's not just me teaching. It's industry leaders teaching on areas of operation, in areas of leadership, in areas of emerging technology and technology. And they're passionate about your success. Right there, education. It's all here. I am just on fire. Let's get going. Phillip Diao is a senior solution consultant with Infor down in Australia. Pretty cool. And we're talking supply chain, and we're talking about leveraging technology and being able to leverage that technology for your success and going forward. Great interview. I just love industry because they have great people like you giving great advice, great insight, great knowledge, great wisdom. Phillip does not disappoint. So enjoy this conversation with Phillip on the Industrial Talk Podcast. All right, Phillip, welcome to the Industrial Talk Podcast. So glad that you are here. Doggone it. I'm so honored to have you on.
Thanks,
the podcast. And I'm telling you, the listeners are too. You're from Australia, which is absolutely great. How about that? I just want to throw that out. Okay, for the listeners there, Phillip, give us a little background, a little information on why you're such a great professional, and then we're going to get into the interview and talk a little bit about supply chain and all the stuff that's going on around the world, and then see what we can do to come up with some actionable points. So, give us a little background.
Well, thanks, Scott. Happy to be here. So I've been working in supply chain for a long time. Have a little bit of industry experience with Toyota. It was very exciting times. A lot of learnings, particularly with the car industry in Australia at that time, understanding supply chain. Mm-hmm. Then I worked across consulting, so picked up a bit of experience there across different industries, particularly around retail and distribution.
Yeah.
And now I'm working with Infor to help businesses modernize their supply chains and really take them to the next level.
We're going to talk about that. Now, when you were with Toyota, did you do supply chain stuff with Toyota?
I did production planning and materials management. So right in there.
It is. So, and I'm a big fan of Toyota. They do an excellent job. They pretty much know how to squeeze out every bit of value out of that supply chain. So when we start talking about it, and the elephant in the room there, Phillip, is, of course, COVID corona, whatever. It's the virus and the disruption that has taken place within just the supply chain in general across the board. And if you, listener out there, think that you're being targeted, you're not. It's an equal opportunity pain in the butt. So let's talk a little bit about that. Lay the foundation of just saying, hey, here's supply chain. What's going on right now as a result of this this virus? And then we're going to start talking about what can we do to sort of help mitigate some of the challenges.
Yeah, sure. So what's happening is twofold, right? So what you're seeing is some customers would have a huge surge in demand, right? You're talking about the medical industry, particularly.
Yeah.
Some of the supermarket, you hear all those people going for toilet paper. And then you have other industries where demand has just...
Yeah, on the toilet paper front, I still don't understand it, and I'm still fine. We can move on.
Yeah, well, that's another thing, whole thing with the bullwhip effect and everything, yeah. But we'll put that aside. And then the other side you have where people's businesses are just, there's no more demand, right? Whether it's due to government lockdowns or whether it's just people not spending the money, they're being more conservative. There's a whole fall off in demand on the other hand. So it doesn't really matter which camp you're in. You really have to think about how your supply chain will respond and manage those changes and the ever evolving, because things are changing daily, right? You're not seeing long patterns. You don't have weeks or months to react. You kind of have to start moving now.
Yeah, I think there has to be a sense of urgency. But once again, you're in an industry, a market where it's probably a heck of a disruption. And I'm sorry, there's some noises coming in. Disregard if you're listening out there. So anyway, there's a lot of disruption, and it is changing, and it is dynamic, and it's and if you don't have demand, how do you manage that? How do you? I don't get it. I mean, this is a challenging time. Is there some solution out there that can sort of be interjected?
Yeah. So the fall off of demand is temporary. Luckily, I think for most businesses, it's the very short term. As things improve, that demand will start to recover. But what we're seeing is that recovery is uneven. So when as a business you're doing your demand management, you need the ability to really get down to that very low level where the customers are, what pockets of the country or what regions, what specific products even are seeing that recovery first, and being able to manage those, because that's what's going to start bringing you in revenue, and then that you can kind of build from there, right? So having that very low level demand planning and demand sensing capability is very important. Using kind of traditional. So
go ahead. I'm sorry. When you say demand planning, what do you mean by that for the listeners out there?
Yeah. So there's a demand planning very broadly means that you are predicting or forecasting what your demand will be in 2 weeks, 1 month down the line, depending on your lead times, and then being able to manage your supply to cater for that demand. So without knowing what you're going to sell, or potentially having some idea of what and where you're going to sell it, it's going to be very hard for you to have the right products at the right places.
So the big, red light above my head is the fact that I have no idea what the demand is. I have none. I can't even go off of old information to try to create a plan to predict or to create, some sort of supply to meet the demand, because I have no clue. How do we get around something like that? Because I don't know what the demand is. I don't know what's going to be a month out, month and a half, 2 months. I have no clue, because the other side, I have no money. It's like, I don't get it. How do you do something like that?
Yeah. So what you can do is using demand sensing. How that works is that it takes in leading indicators, looking at the economy, looking at employment rates, looking at kind of societal factors, looking at even weather and kind of things like that. It can give an indication of which regions, which states, which regions are recovering first and what kind of things they're going for. So using those leading indicators, then you can apply them to other regions as they show similar signs of recovery. So for example, that as people are working more from home, so the work from home rate is increasing. We're seeing huge increases in people buying comfort wear like tracksuit pants and active wear to now they don't have to go into the office. That's right.
Right.
That's right. And they're spending more time at home.
Yeah. Okay. So those are some of the tools that can be applied. I mean, there's something out there that you're not just going blind. You're not just sort of willy-nilly just trying, but you have tools available to be able to sort of come up with some understanding of demand. And that would be key for a business.
Yeah, that's absolutely critical. That's a fairly advanced position. So if you want something that's much quicker, what you can also do is do demand planning at a more granular level, right? Because what we're seeing is a lot of businesses used to, even with demand planning, did it at a very high aggregate level, and they would say, "Oh, we have great forecast accuracy, we have great demand planning." But what they're not seeing now is because of the very big variances in different regions, different countries, different products. Yeah. Aggregating all of that is kind of hiding their deficiencies in the planning process. So having the tools to be able to forecast and manage your demand at a very low level and being able to respond to that is very important, I think, particularly in this time, but into the future as well.
See, so now what I hear and I understand, so if we had the granularity into the demand profile of your consumer, whatever it might be, so a level of granularity and regionalized, because maybe, North is not as aggressive as South and vice versa and all that stuff, that's the level of detail that has to happen, because you can't just take a blanket approach to your demand planning saying, okay, Australia, this is what it looks like, and that is going to it's not going to be accurate. And I don't think you can, you want to be as efficient as you possibly can with your demand planning, right?
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. When
we start doing that to me sounds complicated, right? Maybe not for you, but for me, it seems complicated. Are there, like you're in Infor, and you got a robust system that, does it do a good job at that demand planning?
It does a great job, actually. So what it allows you to do is kind of segregate your products, your regions into areas that you want the planners to focus on, and everything else that runs smoothly, that may not be as affected, you can just let the system decide. So that really increases the value of your planner, the value that they can bring, by looking at those exception items and then focusing their efforts on those. So it's not having the planner manually forecast thousands and hundreds of thousands of SKUs and locations. It's really concentrating that planner effort where it matters the most.
I think that the need is now. I believe that, let's say pre-virus, whatever, that world is not going to be the post-virus world. There might be some similarities. But I think from my perspective as a business owner, I would want my supply chain being as efficient, cost-effective, and accurate as I possibly can make it. Isn't that a true statement? I think that I don't have the available capital to sort of take out, to cover that inefficiency within my supply chain. I've got to be spot on.
Absolutely, absolutely. When the times are good, you can kind of say, well, everything's running not 80%, 70%, and I can live with that. But when something like this happens, then it really brings into focus where those inefficiencies are, and really pushes businesses to either do something about them or they'll perish, right?
Hey, that's right. I was just going to say the other option is like, and you're out of business if you don't. So now the system, once again, I mean, when I look at supply chain and I look at it from, beginning to end, soup to nut, demand, supply, all of the stuff that goes into that chain, there's a lot of complexity. And I think today more than ever, I need a system that I feel confident that it's actually doing what I need to do as efficiently as it possibly can and expeditiously being able to produce the results that I need. Now, you're working at Infor, and I'm not trying to make this an infomercial. However, what I know about Infor is the flexibility and the dynamics of that particular system. Can you begin to sort of explain a little bit about that platform?
Yeah, so we have a visibility platform called Nexus. What that allows you to do is basically see and manage all your orders in a very collaborative way. What we've been hearing the past couple of years is that everyone's going for visibility, everyone's going for control towers. That's a big buzz around that. But what's
control towers? What is a control tower outside of the fact that it's not a plane thing? What's a control tower?
Well, it's very much like a plane, like the control tower at an airport. You have full visibility of what's happening and what's happening around you. But what we're seeing is that they're not having when businesses put in control towers, they have no vision of changing their ways. So actually using that data to help them get better results. So with Nexus, what we're doing is having actionable visibility. Right? There's no point in seeing what's wrong and everything or what's happening around your supply chain if it doesn't give you the ability to change the outcomes to what you desire, what your business needs. So having that actionable visibility, having all your suppliers and your customers on the one platform, being able to operate at the speed of business. So being able to see that real time or near real time updates of orders, where things are, where things that might be delayed, what can you do to backfill those delays. That's all very important, and having the one platform with everyone on it and everyone working towards the same goals will put your business well above people that are operating in silos and just looking at their own data and not being able to interoperate.
So are you saying that it's a platform that allows me to do some really proactive adjustments to optimize the situation at hand? I don't have to just sit there and that's an inefficient type of part of it. I can't do anything about it. You're able to make real-time adjustments on that supply chain.
Absolutely, that's exactly right. And we're moving towards building in kind of the machine learning and the intelligence for the system to help you make those decisions as well, right? So proactively and predictively make those decisions for you, and then just tell you, I did this. Do you agree with that, or do you not agree with that?
When we start talking about AI, sort of that the ability to be able to more forecast whatever that AI platform is doing, do you have that in place right now, where you can sort of create a more insightful, through technology, insightful vision of your supply chain?
Well, that's a fast evolving area that a lot of research has been put into. There are some capabilities, however, we're always trying to put in more and more, bring in, because all of that data from the partners is already on the platform. It can access years and decades of history to understand, to learn from that, learn what's happening, and then apply that knowledge where a person or a team of people will not be able to sift through all of that data, right? Nor do you want them to do that
you don't want
rote job.
You don't want your valuable talent sitting there trying to decipher and sift through data. Oh my goodness. Please don't. Let technology handle that big time. So where do you see?
You might not have them for long if
you will not have them. No, you will not have them for long. I guarantee you. In fact, that's my AI. You don't want to do that. Now, your platform is, and the Infor platform is it more suited toward manufacturing, or is it just, it doesn't matter? It could be retail. It doesn't matter. Is it pretty agnostic to the technology or to the industry?
For our supply chain products, are very industry agnostic, because there are certain features that are tailored or designed specifically for manufacturing, and there are certain features that are specifically designed for retail.
Yeah.
But the underlying platform is suitable for a number of industries. Supply chains, they all do. The majority of them do importing, exporting. So all of those things that are fundamental to a supply chain can be used by any industry.
So before we wrap up, I want your take. I want your insight into where do you see it going? What will, given this post-virus, where do you see things sort of trending so that the listeners understand, it's going to go down that road? So what do you see?
Well, the supply chain leaders will very much need to have very localized demand planning capabilities, being able to work to demand plan at a very low level, being able to collaborate, so having that visibility, that collaboration, being able to do simulations, so to prevent or to be prepared for unforeseen events in the future, and finally being able to really level up their planners, right, with the right tools and the right capabilities and the right processes to bring them into the next new normal, as people are saying.
I try to stay away from that term new normal. I'm not gonna maybe it'll be different a little bit, but I'm gonna fight it anyway. Now, you mentioned something that was interesting, collaboration. So let's say I'm buying from my manufacturers. I'm whatever. So I'm buying from my manufacturers of these products. Is there a value for me to be able to collaborate with them and say, what are your challenges? What can I do to work with you and help and be able to have that dialogue between back and forth, as opposed to just sort of being in this sort of silo of like, okay, I'm going to order, I never talk to anybody. Is there a benefit of that?
Huge benefits on both sides, really. As the buyer, working with your suppliers smooths out your whole supply chain, right? You rely on them to provide you the materials for you to either sell or to manufacture. What we're seeing is that a lot of companies actually don't realize that their immediate supplier also relies on other suppliers to be able to supply them. Yeah. So
the chain. There it is, part of the chain.
So what's happening is that, so there's things happening in China, there's things happening in Southeast Asia, there's things happening in the region. What a lot of executives don't realize is, I'm not exposed to China. But what they don't realize is that, my supplier is actually very exposed to China, very exposed to other parts of the world. So when one part of it has issues, then it cascades right down the chain. And being able to work with your vendors to understand who their suppliers are is extremely beneficial.
It is. I've been preaching a couple of points. You need to collaborate because you don't have all the answers, and you need to collaborate now. You need to innovate. And then when we start talking about supply chain, how do we innovate to make it more efficient better demand planning, whatever it is. You got to innovate. You've got to educate, because you got to keep on learning, and you got to take action. You don't have the luxury of just sort of lollygagging. You've got to take action, and I like that, especially in the world of supply chain. Jeez, you brought up a good point. It's like, okay, I buy my widget over here, but that guy has feedstock that comes from other locations, and they're having problems, and you got to have that clarity now. I mean, wow.
100%.
Well, geez.
And from the supplier side, having been able to provide what's ultimately your customers, that visibility into your own supply chain, has great benefits for you as a supplier, right? Because the customers see you as, I want to work with these people because they can provide me the information and the customer service, if you will, of that I need. That even though I'm paying maybe a little bit more, I'd rather go with them to de-risk my whole supply chain.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we're going to have to wrap this interview up. Phillip, that's Phillip Diao. Did I say that right? Did I say your last name right?
That's right, thanks.
All right, there it is.
Yes.
I nailed it. He's with Infor. He's a supply chain expert. Are you active out on LinkedIn?
Trying to be, as much as I can.
The answer is yes. The answer is absolutely I'm active out on LinkedIn, because I want to be able to...
Yes.
Okay, so reach out to him. It might take a few minutes to get back to you. However, he knows his stuff about supply chain. If you have any issues whatsoever with supply chain, I guarantee you, Phillip would be more than happy to have a chit-chat with you in a heartbeat. All right, you listeners out there, reach out to him. You stay tuned. We're going to wrap it up on the other side, and we're going to have all the contacts that you can possibly imagine. Thank you very much. We will be right back.
You're listening to the Industrial Talk Podcast Network.
All right, once again, thank you very much for joining the Industrial Talk Podcast. I have double screen here, so if you're looking out on video, I'm looking at Phillip's stat card on LinkedIn, which is quite impressive, so don't miss out. Reach out to Phillip. I'm sure he would love to have a conversation with you. If anything, supply chain it, baby. Have a conversation about supply chain, because that's an important component to your business and your success, your survival, your recovery, and your prosperity. Absolutely, supply chain is where it's at. All right, we're going to sum this up. Again, you need to survive. You industrial professional, you company, you need to survive. You need to recover. We need to get you back in the game. You need to recover, and you need to prosper. We depend on you. Remember, you got to figure out how to retain talent, manage that risk, save money, make money, and create a sense of resiliency. We're going to continue this theme, and we're going to highlight the best of the best. Again, go out to the Industrial Talk /reporter and learn from all of these great people who have a desire to collaborate, innovate, educate, right? And do it with a sense of speed. Do it. We depend on you. Thank you very much for joining the Industrial Talk Podcast. We're going to have another great interview right around the corner, so do not fret. We will be back shortly.